Now to that deadly mid-air collision. Shocking video showing what happened as a jet that was preparing to land at Ronald Reagan Airport. It collided with an Army helicopter. We've labeled the two aircraft to help explain what happened. There were 64 people on board that jet, 3 soldiers on board the helicopter. No one is believed to have survived. And now you're seeing a live look at the scene over the river there. First responders have already pulled more than 24 victims from the water. Natalie Brand joins us live from Arlington, Virginia. Natalie.
And we're inside Reagan National Airport, where in a short time from now, we're expecting a briefing from NTSB investigators. This investigation, Sherman, still in its very early stages. But we did hear from President Trump over at the White House, who described this as a confluence of bad decisions, he said. His new transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, also saying that this shouldn't have happened. We will not accept excuses. And the president even going as far to suggest that hiring practices under the Biden administration's FAA may have played a factor here. But again, this probe is just beginning. But what we do know, according to a law enforcement source, is that investigators are focusing on why that military aircraft was at that location and at that altitude at the time of the crash.
Washington, D.C.'s fire chief says the rescue mission in the Potomac River has now turned to a recovery operation.
At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident.
EarthCam video shows the moment a commercial passenger jet and an Army helicopter collided in midair just before 9 p.m. near Reagan National Airport outside Washington, D.C.
Both the helicopter and the plane crashed in the river.
Video obtained by CBS News shows what air traffic controllers would have seen. The Black Hawk at the top of the screen appears to move directly in the path of the jet operated by PSA Airlines.
We don't know why the military aircraft came into the path of the PSA aircraft.
President Donald Trump is pushing for an explanation.
We'll find out how this disaster occurred and we'll ensure that nothing like this ever happens again.
The Army says the Black Hawk helicopter was on a training flight with 3 service members on board. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on social media that the DoD is actively investigating.
It was a fairly experienced crew and that was doing a required annual night evaluation.
This is the first major commercial crash in the United States in around 16 years. Officials are hoping the black box flight recorder helps investigators figure out what happened.
Anytime you have 2 airplanes close together, they will then go to visual separation. The real question, of course, is why did that visual separation break down to this disaster that we have right now?
A number of figure skaters, along with their coaches and parents, were among those on board the plane, including 6 people from the skating club of Boston.
2 coaches, 2 teenage athletes, and the athletes' moms. It's a close, tight bond, and I think for all of us, we have lost family.
In a statement, U.S. Figure Skating says, quote, "We are devastated by this unspeakable tragedy and hold the victims' families closely in our hearts."
An American Airlines CEO, Robert Isom, traveled from Texas here to Washington, D.C. to be here for this press briefing that we had earlier this morning. He said that the airline is doing whatever it can for those impacted by this crash. They set up a special hotline to try to help with resources. As for the airport, DCA, Reagan National Airport, has started to resume operations. Airport's still kind of empty, but slowly trying to get back to normal with a number of passengers here. Obviously, their hearts, they say, break for the victims of this crash. Some expressing some nervousness, others saying that they still feel pretty safe to fly, Sherman.
All right, thanks. Authorities emphasizing that the skies are safe over the country. Let us hope so. Natalie, thank you.